Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman, that is what's commonly called a belly laugh. And I love doing the belly laughs. I did it at my 40th birthday party, in front of a massive audience. My parents were there, all my friends were there. There was a small group of people who were very impressed. Very small. Usually young kids. Actually, there's the young kids on the front line. My parents turning round. It's not my son, it's not my son. And my friends were equally as embarrassed. There was a guy sitting on the front row who was a good friend of mine, an Irishman, who's also a consultant, a surgeon at a local hospital. The look on his face was priceless. He just wanted to be swallowed up. It was so funny. But there's a good reason for doing this. Now I noticed that not many of you joined in, but if you had done, you would have had a feeling of wellness that is bigger and better than the biggest heroin fix that you could ever have. So I've had a heroin fix, but without actually taking the drug. So there's a very good reason for doing it. Now, reasons to be cheerful. I like to look at present, past and future. I was looking through the news today. Has anybody heard of Boris and Marjorie? No? Boris and Marjorie are the fattest pigs in the country at the moment. Their weight is equivalent to a small car. Imagine anybody got a little Mini. Combined weight. Boris likes being tickled under his shoulder. He likes chasing hose pipes. And he, of course, likes a mud bath. And he has managed to produce 75 piglets this year. Now that is an amazing... If I could do something like that, it would be amazing.
It would be.
75! Apparently. The owners are not willing to sell him all. They're not going to sell the two because they're worth too much because of this prodigious ability to produce offspring. In the news also, tomorrow is the opening of a brand new hotel in Soho in London. Which is interesting because Soho is normally associated with the sex trade. But this is not your normal hotel. This is a hotel. Has anybody heard about this? It's made completely from cake. Anybody who's a cake lover, you remember a couple of weeks ago I brought a cake. I was trying to visualise this. A cake in a hotel. Visitors one night only. And the cake is, the whole hotel is going to be eaten. I think it's been sponsored by a cake manufacturer, from what I guess. Now the story here, the reasons to be cheerful, the title. I came up with that title. Then I thought, I know this was somewhere. So I did a bit of research, and yes. Does anybody remember the group Ian Jury and the Blockheads? Yes. Okay. That was one of his songs, a hit. It got to number 3 30 odd years ago. Now the thing about Ian Jury, and this is a good thing about humour, for example. That song was inspired, believe it or not, they were recording in this venue where the electricity wasn't very good. And the sound man nearly got electrocuted. Don't know how, and he came up with this song. So that's a good thing about humour and about being cheerful, is that you can look at bad things and make humour out of it. And this has happened to me on many occasions. A few years ago, 20 odd years ago, I was fired from my job. Oh. But I was quite pleased actually. It was working for McDonald's. I didn't go down very well with them. But my mother, I knew, would be very distressed. And the problem was that I had a flat which I owned jointly with my sister. And I didn't want them to know that I'd been fired. So what did I do? I dressed up normally, went down to the station every morning and sat down in in this coffee area so that I didn't, well, no, the kind of shopping centre. So I gave the impression that I was still employed. But I didn't bother shaving, I didn't bother doing anything. And then after a couple of days, I noticed that people started sitting next to me. I thought it was funny. And then one of these guys said to me, he said, how long have you been down and out? I said, what do you mean down and out? I remember I was associating with the local tramps. So I thought, I better own up. So I went home, rang up my mother, told her. She burst into tears. I then got another job very quickly after this and got fired from that. Now, I also had another incident a few years ago, which at the time was a bit tragic. As you all know, I've got a car valeting business. Now, what actually happened was, I parked this. Does anybody remember the To the Man Aboard, that series that was on years ago? The Penelope Keith was the kind of upper-class, snooty lady who ran the manor and everything, but got no money. Although it wasn't the case. I have a customer who's like that. Think of Mrs. Penelope Keith and everything. But if you don't remember the series, you won't remember. But anyway, that was the scene. I went to, she's got a beautiful house and all this type of thing, and I used to regularly clean her cars. One day I cleaned her car. It was a beautiful sunny day. Picture this. She's got one of these little trolleys, motorised wheelchairs. She's in her garden. She's experiencing all the beauty all around her. I wash her car. I put it down. I forget to put the handbrake on. The car rolls down the hill, hits this beautiful oak tree head on, writes it off completely. £50,000 car. Now that's not a funny thing necessarily at the time. But looking back on it, it's a funny thing. And do you know what? She's asked me back again. So, we can look into the past, we can look at present things, we can look into the future. We've all got reasons to be cheerful. And I want to finish, because reasons to be cheerful, we all have individual. And these are my reasons to be cheerful. My 3 kids. I want you to have a look at that, because you've all got reasons to be cheerful. The latest addition to my family, my little grandson, Wyatt. Now this is a special one. This is me, my daughter, who's now at Edinburgh University. I was mistaken for her boyfriend. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope I've taken you through some of my sense of humour. You decide for yourself.